Massive number of people have been upgrading. Yes.
There you go. You see the graceful limb that you were talking about before.
The race we've got yet again, and a victor then goes victory to an American, Andy Hampton.
The belt to go by. He looks at the Colombian rider. How are you doing?
Straight past Santiago Botero, and he's coming up to Pantani.
Armstrong is sitting in the last few hundred metres as we come towards the finish of this monumental stage. And Armstrong,
as we start to approach the line now, Pantani grits his teeth and accelerates and over the line.
Is going now to win stage number 15. Sepp Kuss, an emotional finish from Durango in the USA. Sepp Kuss wins.
Welcome to Between Two Wheels podcast. Tyler Yonke coming at you. We had a little delay there. Hope we're getting things going. We even have a Rumble channel, so I'll put it in the chat. And because at some point, what we're going to do is we're going to recap, but we're going to play the actual highlights, and that can be done on Rumble. They kill us everywhere else. YouTube, Facebook. X is probably okay there too, but I mean, it's just shit. Facebook is the worst, by the way. Welcome everybody. Tyler Yonke. We're going to go over stages 2 and 3, which we did not get to yesterday. I had to go golfing, and I'm going golfing again tomorrow. It's all family shit related. So, but here we are. Let's take a look at stage 2 profile, and then we will get to it here today. Welcome everybody. Stage 2 was Lauwin-Planque to Boulogne-sur-Mer. 209.1 kilometers in length. And you can see it there, it was a bit lumpy. So it was what they call like a classic style. And the prediction I gave is, well, you could see some of the sprinters coming to the fore here and finish it, but likely it's going to be like a Mathieu van der Poel day and or a breakaway is going to make it. But when you've got, and I also talked about how it looks like De Koninck, Alpecin De Koninck is going to try to keep the yellow jersey, at least through up until stage 5, the time trial. With that, they could just swap it between riders, and you have a good chance of having some good results coming there with Van der Poel and or Jesper Philipsen. So there you go. There's the profile, and we'll get to some extended highlights right away. We're going to get to it here. And by the way, I'm sorry I didn't notify everybody as to when this is going off. It's just stuff. Tomorrow maybe I'll try to do it right after the race. So get your notifications on here, like and subscribe as always, so you can know when this is coming to you. But here's the stage yesterday. We have a little bit of a profile. I thought we would just kind of break down. Okay, so there it is. It's a pretty long stage. It started out in some rain. You had some riders getting off in the break. But really, the breakaway is not going to we're just going to spoil it here. The breakaway is not going to make it because certain teams want to make this difficult. And they want to get the Vauquelin as an example. So De Koninck, they're going to, Alpecin De Koninck, they're going to be smashing this thing as well. And you're just going to basically, not going to get there. You had riders in the break going down in the rain. The rain did subside, and then we didn't see it anymore. The group comes back together. We had some intermediate sprints here. This one was actually interesting because, if you looked at it from overhead after the fact, we'll go right here. Johnny Milan, he starts yelling and gestating at our boy Biniam Girmay, a lot of hand waving, everything, and everyone's kind of looking back going, what's going on? And, it looked kind of nasty. And you look at the actual, Victor's here. Welcome, Victor. Glad to have you back in the chat. Once again, when you looked at it from the overhead on stage 2 here of the intermediate sprint, I couldn't tell what the problem was. As a matter of fact, it looked like Jonathan Milan maybe was the one doing the elbowing. So, but had a friend, shout out to our friend Tom, he reached out to me yesterday and it's like, what's the deal with this? And it's like, look, I'll give, and a lot of people, and we're going to play a clip here of actually Jonathan Milan going to Biniam Girmay after the race and apologizing. Your adrenaline's up. Who knows what the situation is? I don't think these guys are dirty sprinters, not like we're going to see a little bit later here with Van Poppel on stage 3. who I do think is somewhat of a dirty rider, and it's always problematic and always in the issues. This was not what I believe there. But anyway, it was unnecessary to have this end of the breakaway. And then we're going to come into a series of some climbs here. Okay, with these climbs, it's about positioning. They come into the first one. Roman Gregor's FDJ team comes in. Samuel Askey, I think his name, lights it up. It's looking pretty good. Then Tish, but kind of takes away. Tish Bunut gets in there. And Evenepoel is not anywhere to be seen for a while. Tish Bunut comes in. He starts taking over. I'm just throwing this out as Evenepoel misses and he has to do some work to get back up there. Then it's a few things back and forth here. And then you got Jorgensen coming to the front and he powers this thing. Now, with this in mind, some of the sprinters, you got Philipsen, he's losing some ground, okay? But Matthew van der Poel is always up there and in position. One person who's not is Wout van der Poel. Now, Wout, this would have been typically, you're looking at a primary spot for him to get the win. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's not been feeling well. He's in a different mindset, or, this is what some of these big teams too do as well. They use certain people for different stages of the race. In the first, 11 days, there's a few little pop shots like this, little climbs that are, significant if you're, you don't want to be losing time, but you don't need your Sepp Kuss there as an example. You use Tish Bunut in that race. Now, Matteo Jorgensen, we've seen him in the classics. This guy can ride classics. He can also climb like a tour rider. He is an exceptional beast, okay? And with that in mind, he is the prime guy to be setting the pace and to be up there for Jonas. Now, some people were in this position going, oh, it looked like he was trying to do an attack, and then Tadej kind of came over the top of it, and so blocked him from doing it. I don't think so. I think his whole idea here was, let's keep a fast tempo, let's keep things going on. They come up and over the top of this one, though, however, and Tadej gets the King of the Mountain points, which is going to be somewhat significant for the next day. The riders are starting to regroup again between the next climb. They come into the next climb at 5.5. You've got Kevin Vauquelin over here, but you also got Jonathan Narvaez. Now Evenepoel at least is back up there. Matthew van der Poel is there. Jonas is there. Tadej's there. Jorgensen is there. Primoz Roglic is there as well. Okay. Vauquelin takes a big hit at it. He doesn't get anywhere. Comes up and over the top. Matthew van der Poel is there. But just on the back here, just a little bit of a gap. Look, you got Sepp Kuss, but then you also have Philipsen right on his wheel just a few seconds behind. That group, by the way, they do not connect, and we'll get to it why. When they come over the top, there's a little bit of a gap here. Jonas hits out as a fake attack. I don't know what the deal is here. Jonas has feeling good legs, and it reminds me of a few tours ago where Tadej was doing everything, just boom, 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 and then it came back to bite him. Like you've seen this with Julian Alaphilippe. Was it 2019 where he was in the lead, but he was just like the first 19 days or so up until that point. But he was just attacking, getting little points, time bonuses here and there. And at some point, you're just like, Jonas, mellow out. Now, no one was letting him get away. And then Jorgensen goes up the front, kind of calms things down. Then Jorgensen goes up with Kevin Vauquelin, and they have a chance here with Lutsenko. Now, some people have talked about, like, this was a prime opportunity for Jorgensen. Now, there's a reason why this could be good, which is Jorgensen goes up the road. If they're able to stay away, then they take all the sprint, the time bonuses, and so you don't get those spread back where Tadej can get those if he gets in the top three. Then there's also a thing, though, about leaving your team leader in a situation like this. Tish Bunut wasn't there. It was just Jonas and just Matteo. I don't know that this is necessarily the time period where you got to fight over 2-3 seconds. Is that the big deal? Maybe, maybe not. Kevin Vauquelin was all upset that Jorgensen didn't go with him. I don't think it's an opportunity missed for Visma, because I think the better idea is to stay with your lead rider. Could be wrong, could be right. However, I must say, Chris Horner, who's been doing breakdowns, he talked about the only way for Jonas to win, if Jonas hasn't improved dramatically over the Dauphiné fitness levels, is to make sure that Remco and Primoz Roglic are in the mix so that you can work those three together against Tadej, right? Got to chase one, chase the other. And when they start, and so you have day one where Visma basically dropped those two, and now you're working with Tadej. Don't work with Tadej. We've seen this over and over in the last few years. Don't work with him when you're off the front. That's been a criticism of what Chris Horner had, and I think that's valid. And so at this point, you've got to watch what happens going forward. These guys get brought back together. They come into the last bit here. Julian Alaphilippe's up there. I think that's Oscar Only. You've got Tadej. You've got Matthew van der Poel and Kevin Vauquelin. Previously to this, Lipowitz had taken a bit of a flyer, tried to stay off. They caught him inside the 1 kilometer to go. And then Matthew van der Poel hits out over the front. You got a little fighting here between Vauquelin and Tadej, and then you got Julian Alaphilippe. Then there's Jonas. Jonas then decides to, you know what, screw this, and he goes around Julian Alaphilippe. The sprint to the line, it's actually won by Matthew van der Poel. Tadej does not come around him, and in third place is Jonas. Now, Vauquelin is up there in sixth. So, once again, if you're Matteo Jorgensen and you're riding off the front with him just to protect bonus seconds, okay, but you're going to just help some guy drag him up a third-tier team up here to get the win. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Now, is Jonas going to win this? Maybe. You know, he could have. I mean, he didn't get up there with these two guys, but it was Van der Poel. But he did get it third, so it was fairly impressive. But Van der Poel gets third. There was a 30-some second gap back to Philipsen and his group, which he won that field sprint. And so Matthew van der Poel goes into the yellow jersey, collapses, and there you go. So he gets the yellow jersey over Tadej, or there's the stage over Tadej, Vingegaard, Roman Gregoire, Alaphilippe, Oscar Only, Pellepente, Vauquelin, Vasquez, Velasco, and Berkmos. Yellow jersey after stage 2, Matthew van der Poel over Tadej, and then Vingegaard. And this is the difference here, just the time bonuses, 4, 6, then 10 to Vauquelin, Matteo Jorgensen in 5th at 10 seconds. I have a suspicion. I'm calling this out early, which is I believe Matteo Jorgensen is going to do a better time trial than Jonas, and he's going to be much closer. He's going to be pushing Van der Poel and Tadej for the win. Okay, I know people have said, oh, Van der Poel, he's going to put 40 seconds on Tadej. I don't know about that in the Tour. When they come to the Tour, it's a different ballgame, but how they race the other time trials. And while he's done fine, he won the Tour stage last year, he's not putting a ton of time into Jonas and to Tadej. And I have a suspicion that Matteo might be giving us a chance at Tour de France victory for the Americans on stage 5 of the time trial. Okay, let's go into stage 3. Let's actually, before we get there, let's take a look at, let's go to stage 2. And I want to look at the penalties and fines. No penalties and fines for stage 2. Okay, let's go to stage 3 highlights. And they did it. Here's a little breakdown again of this situation from the race. Jonathan Milan throwing his, getting all upset. But I think there was a little clip here of him, these two yelling at each other, throwing his arms again. Once again, Jonathan Milan not happy about it. Biniam's not so happy about it. But I think there was supposed to be, I thought I had a video in here of them actually apologizing, going up to him in the bus. Now I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Okay, well anyway, let's go to stage 3 here. This is today's pan flat. There's one climb on it. There's going to be a headwind for most of the day. And it starts out with rain. The rain doesn't really matter. Teams don't go up the front. If you had anybody in the breakaway that was worth anything, and they pushed this, but it's a headwind day, so it's tough to do. But if you had any of these teams, these lower tier teams, trying to get up the road, it would at least force the sprinters teams to do some chasing, and it would probably cause a little bit less stress in the peloton as well. In the meantime, the rain subsides, the riders come out, they're looking fine, Then there's an intermediate sprint, which is won by Jonathan Milan, but there's a crash. And this crash is right here. You can see Coquard and a rider for Wanty Goubert. They clash over here, and then as Coquard's trying to stay up, he pulls his foot out. He runs right into Philipsen, who then goes down heavy on his shoulder, ends up breaking his collarbone. Coquard stays up, and ugly situation. Philipsen had to withdraw from the tour, from the race. Riders were then yelling at Coquard. I don't think it was necessarily his fault. Other rider looks like it came into its racing. Now, the one thing that Coquard perhaps could have been at fault about was the fact that he had overlapped the wheel of Jonathan Milan. And when Milan started sprinting, that wheel just immediately comes back into you, and he had to kind of dodge there, and it just was bad timing on everyone. It feels bad. So Philipsen's out. He's in the green jersey. He was the key person that you would expect to be winning this, especially after he had stage 1 results. And with that, then Alpecin and De Quinnick, they have to immediately shift their mindset and go for Caden Groves, who was leading him out. Now, Caden Groves in his own right is a pretty damn good sprinter, so not a bad situation. But that team has really got to do is kind of a mindset switch, and that's not so easy. Now, they had the one after this, the race is just, it's not neutralized, it's just slow. It's a headwind, and they're just not really interested in pushing it. Wellens goes up the road, and you're like immediately like, well, that's first lieutenant for Tadej. What's he doing? Well, then it comes across the radio that, hey, good, we're going to get these points. If he gets the King of the Mountain points, he is going to be in the jersey. The reason for that is Tadej's in the King of the Mountains jersey. He just wants to prepare for this time trial. He doesn't want to do the extra hour plus having to sit there answering questions, going through all the ceremonies, waiting. He just wants to go and leave. So they're like, let's get him out of the jersey. Wellens and him, when he comes over the line here, he'll be tied on points, but they do a count back, and Wellens had won points multiples, so he then gets to have the leader's jersey. So that's what it has. He gets up, he then sits up, and then we come into an additional more chaos in this race. This was just crash after crash coming into the last here. You finally got the big team sitting up at the front here, and then you got this crash here, which happens in the middle of the race. And look at that, right into the barrier. That really sucks. That looks like it hurt a lot. Remco Evenepoel was caught up in the crash. Now, this was within the last 5 kilometers, so we weren't going to worry about it so much. That one was caused, I'm trying to remember, I'd done looking at this one this morning. I don't really remember who that one was caused by, but it looked like it was just, that was Anthony Turgis, actually. It was bouncing around with Groenewegen, going back and forth. And it looked kind of like racing, but also right before this was happening, there was a lot of like lateral movement between these guys in the field. And you're just like, come on, guys, what is going on? You look dangerous from overhead, and then a wreck happens right off of your wheel. That looks a little bit suspect. Coming into the last few kilometers, you got Jonathan Milan's team here. They're looking like they're going to be the one. Now, Caden Groves should have been the guy for Alpecin, but they got mixed up here. The last 5 kilometers, I'm watching this on SBS today, and that's the Australian, and they had Caleb Ewan, who, we've heard about Caleb Ewan. He's a great sprinter. He had been with Lotto, then he was with Jayco, and then this last year, he signed with Ineos. He did 2 races. He had a stage win in one. He won the other one, I think it was Basque Country even, and then a stage there, and then about out, and then retired. And anyway, he's coming in talking about this, and he's like, they've got fast 5 kilometers. Alpecin is much too far back. And then that wreck happened. They didn't get themselves up there and far enough, but they were still somewhat connected, but they were too far back. Jonathan Milan's team here, Little Trek gets up to the front. You've got Lotto. You had Tim Miller with one rider. Tim Miller is this Soudal Quick Step team. He's up there in the white jersey. Picnic Post NL for Bittner, they were up there in fine form. And Jayco Lula, they have Groenewegen. He's up there as well, plus Biniam Girmay. I don't think really he had really much support. And then one other guy here is Van Poppel. Now, Van Poppel, you can see him here right in the middle. He's got kind of like a blue and red jersey on. They come around this one corner and see, right this one right here, and a wreck happens. Now, you got Coquard, you've got this guy in the yellow helmet for FDJ, you've got an Astana rider here, and then right to the Astana rider's left, his right is Van Poppel, right behind the Warren Skold. We'll just take this here a little bit. Van Poppel's pushing with this guy, and elbows. It's hard to see necessarily from this angle, but you do see it from over top. Anyway, Van Poppel pushes hard against the Astana guy. He goes into the FDJ, who then Coquard goes head over heels, Cockard, what he's just having a day. By the way, there was another shot where there was another wreck at the back of the field and he's there taking a piss. He just happened to pull off in time, but what a day for him. Bittner strikes out. Jonathan Milan strikes out. You've got on his wheel Miller, you've got Biniam Girmay, and then Van Poppel. Van Poppel's back there. Bauhaus is also Warnskold, and Jonathan Milan takes it from the front, but Miller comes through, and it's really close, right on the line. There's a bike throw, but Miller actually gets it on the line. This direct didn't look good. Let's take a look from this, from the over top. You can see these guys running in here. And I'm trying to pop this just shortly so you can, there you go, bike throw. You can see Miller actually gets it very close on the line, but he does get the win. There's the photo finish. Tim Miller gets the win over Jonathan Milan, who had the teamwork, but you could only do so much. It's a bad day for Jasper Philipsen. He's obviously crashed out. We had that problematic. Tim Miller wins over Milan, Bauhaus, Warnskold, Patrick Bittner, Biniam Girmay in 6th, Caden Groves down there in 7th. By the way, we didn't really mention it there, but it was right before that wreck happened. Matthew van der Poel got Caden Groves about up to the top 10 position and then just like blown. And, at that point, I think those two might have been caught up kind of in that crash or somewhere around there, and they had to do a big amount of work to get up to even try to be in position. As it was, Caden Groves at least got a 7th place on the day. Van Poppel gets an 8th place for what I think was I don't think any of the other guys that was just racing. I think Van Poppel actually caused this wreck in the final, and he should be getting a yellow card. We'll take a look at the penalties and see if he did. Van der Poel, yellow jersey, over 4 seconds over Pogacar, Vingegaard, Vacalon, Enric Mas. So Matteo Jorgensen dropped down a bit. Where did he go? Then the green jersey, 81 points to Jonathan Milan because Jesper Philipsen crashed out, and Wellens tied with 3 points with Pogacar, but in the polka dot jersey. Okay, so there's stage 2. Let's take stage 3. That was today. Stage 4 tomorrow. This is kind of a repeat of what I would say of stage 2, similar, up and down kind of day. He's got a Cat 3, a Cat 4, a Cat 3. This is all within the last, less than 100 kilometers. It's the last half or 2/3 or a third of the race. A Cat 4, a sprint, intermediate sprint, a Cat 3, a Cat 4, a Cat 4, and then a Cat 3 with a descent down to the finish. That's stage 4. And then we're going to have the time trial for stage 5, flat, 33 kilometers. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, happens on that one. Okay, so I do want to take a look here. Fines and penalties. We're going to go to stage 3. Danny Van Poppel, there you go. He got a yellow card and regulated from 8th to 36th. Deviation from chosen line that obstructs or endangers another rider. Irregular sprint, including pulling the jersey or the saddle of another rider, intimidation or threat, blow to the head. Okay, so there you go. Cockard got one with 500 plus a yellow card. So he didn't get the relegation, but he'd get a yellow deviation, same exact, this penalty includes all kinds of possibilities, but he got that for the intermediate sprint. Edward Toynes of the little Trek team, he was the lead out rider there for Jonathan Milan. He also got a yellow card for his deviation. And Davide Ballerini got a yellow card for his actions as well. I'm trying to remember if he was, I think maybe he was in the last one. He was the Astana rider fighting there. Yeah, he was the Astana rider fighting there with Van Poppel, but it shouldn't have been. I don't think the Brian Cockard one is valid necessarily. Luca Metz gets for disposing of waste outside of litter zone. Is that a P relegation? That I do not know. Complimentary results. That's pretty much everything we've seen in there. Interesting stuff. I do want to talk, and I don't think I'm going to do it tonight. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow or definitely this week. The interview with Jonas Vingegaard's wife in the Danish news. And I think it's indicative of some things I've seen with Jonas. I think on the bike, I don't think he's a true leader on the bike. He's kind of just, he's very, he's great with the legs. So he's had to learn how to be, more assertive. I think it's the same way in his home life. I think he's not, and the difference is the team is expecting him to be the winner on the bike, and then therefore he has to be a leader. I don't think, I'm saying this just from observation of these two since he's been married. He does not seem like a leader of his house. She is, matter of fact, I know that this could be, socially acceptable in Denmark, but he changed his last name to take hers. So there's something to be said about that. Dude cries all the time. She's a little bit odd. I'm just saying we're going to have that. Favorite team for the win. Tomorrow I do need to pick a winner for tomorrow. Van der Poel, perhaps. I'm actually looking at, it's got a descent there over the top. If it was a kicker up to the finish, I would perhaps say, like Van der Poel or Tadej, but I'm thinking someone's going to kick off near the finish here, like a Kevin Vauquelin. He's really motivated to get this going. Kevin Vauquelin, maybe a Lutsenko. We saw him up in there in the mix. Almost, a bunch of these people from Julian Alaphilippe, maybe in a store, someone like that can get over in the top of the front. But the favorite team for the win, I'm pulling for Visma simply because they've got the two Americans on there, Sepp and Matteo, who are going to be big parts of the win if Jonas does win this. So I'm kind of pulling for Jonas in that effect. But, I have no problem with Tadej winning either. He's an exceptional racer. Even Evenepoel, I've had trouble with Evenepoel in his career, and I must say it's almost solely because of the team he rides for. I'm such a disliker of Patrick Lefevre, their owner, and the Quick Step team in general. I just have never liked them. A lot of people associated with them. Although I like Tim Miller, so that's been a problem with me. But I think it's inevitable that Evenepoel is going to go to a different team this next year, and then I would have a much better reason. Primoz, I've been a fan of Primoz for years. I don't like at all the way he shit on Sepp Kuss at the Vuelta. He ended up coming around at the end. But even he and Jonas, and I think that's where you see what I'm talking about with Jonas's ability to be a leader on the bike, which was going up the Angliru and staying on the wheel of Roglic instead of helping your teammate. And at the time, then he kind of almost blames Roglic afterwards. Well, I didn't want to. And it's like, dude, you're man up, right? Do the man thing. If you didn't want, fine, go with him, but don't act like that. Okay, so I do have a little trouble with Jonas. Favorite team for the win, though. It would be nice if someone else came in, but I'd see those four as the only four. Ben O'Connor for Jayco, but I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite team in all this. Just kind of going along for the ride. So tomorrow, I do expect Kevin Vauquelin's, I think, a great option. Otherwise, I don't think the sprinters are going to get there. An Oscar only, maybe. Let's figure out what happened, though. I do want to take a look at this. Let's figure out what happened to Jonas. Time won and lost. Nielsen Palace, Jonas, same time. Oh, he's at stage 3. Well, they said he dropped down, but he still is 5th place. So I don't know what's going on there. All right, so that's what we have. So thanks for joining in tonight. Tomorrow we're going to try to do this again. I might do it in the morning, so stay tuned. I have a day tomorrow where I have to. I'm taking father-in-law and 2 of the kids. We're going golfing at 10:30 Pacific. So I might be able to do it first thing in the morning as soon as the race is done and over. We'll see. Otherwise, I'll try to get something late. But it's my wife's birthday, so she's doing stuff with her mom. So we're doing this, and so we may not be able to get to it. Victor says, thank you for streaming. Absolutely. Thank you, Victor, for coming in here. Everyone else, hit like, hit subscribe. Join us here because, and take a look. I will have this link inside this description when this is over for the Rumble, and it's just a different platform, because what I think I'm going to do at some point is, as we're streaming this, we'll just go and we'll play some of these highlight clips and some of these interviews so that you can actually listen to them and not get it struck on the subscription on the platforms, YouTube or Facebook. Facebook blocked the first video just for, I think we played an interview. So I'm trying to do that, and we will start it, and then we will just say everyone over to Rumble. We'll go over there and do it. So thank you, everybody. We will see you next time. Do I have an outro? I need to work on the outro, but I think we're going to have one here. Let's try this. That one's not there. How about this? Happy birthday to your significant other. I appreciate it. All right. And I don't think you can hear that. So